More pleasant.
I think so, yeah. Anyway, let's get going. Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to Smudcast number 570. What happened to Sega's IPs? Oh boy, what a great topic. We haven't really talked about Sega's IPs outside of a few favorites that we've been repeating over the years. And for me, that's always been Alpha Protocol. But there's lots of reasons to like Sega as a software developer. And I don't know how the console wars were for some people back in their late 90s. But Dreamcast was a thing. People liked it. And there were great games on the Dreamcast, like from RPGs to shoot 'em ups like Ikaruga and Skies of Arcadia. I think Grandia came out on that as well.
You got the Soul Calibur console pulls.
Yeah. The great, like Shenmue was a thing. Like, oh my god. So there was all kinds.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, there's lots. I mean, we can keep going with the list, but there's lots of reasons to like Sega. Obviously, the Sonic franchise, but it did not survive the console wars, so it went to third-party software development, and they haven't used the IPs they've owned for decades, like Alpha Protocol, and I'm so concerned why, because there's great games out there like Street Fighter Third Strike I can only see on a Dreamcast. You know, you just couldn't find it anywhere else. So stuff like that I always wanted on other platforms or sequels, which I never got, unfortunately. So
there was actually plans. I do want to mention two of my favorite Sega stuff. One was Skies of Arcadia. While it is one of my favorites, I was never able to finish it. And there was actually plans for a sequel. There's legit plans for a sequel. And they never bothered with it. And I think part of the reason why was because it had low sales. Because Sega doesn't know how to advertise any of their games. But there was also Rhythm Thief, one of my favorite games of all time. I will fanboy over that game beyond belief. Ends on a cliffhanger. No advertisement for the game. No plans on a sequel. Tell me how happy I am about that.
Oh yeah, there's lots of exclusives at the time. I remember one was called Panzer Dragoon something, and it eventually had a PlayStation port. Show games that you were like, oh, you know, if only they made it for another console. They eventually do make it, but that's not owned by Sega. So it's, or was it owned by Sega? I don't recall. But there's lots of games that made it outside of the Dreamcast or the Sega hardware world, and I'm glad they did. But there's a lot that Sega owns just as a publisher that they're not working with. And I think that's what this video is going to be about. Hopefully, we'll get to Alpha Protocol, because that's the more modern one that I recall the past 10 years or so. So, this is going to be a fun trip down memory lane, I'm sure. All these games.
Glad they did.
Yeah. So this video came out 2 years ago in August. Has only 2,645 views, but that's okay. We cover everything here on this podcast. And it is, let's see how long. It is 12 minutes long. That won't be too bad. So hopefully we'll have a good time. Everyone's in the watch together, I hope. Yes, I think so. Yes. Looking good.
Please do not let this play back on my microphone. I'll turn the volume down a little bit just to be safe.
Or just mute it. You'll be fine. It's okay.
Okay.
All right. Here we go. Oh, Crazy Taxi. Oh boy.
You ever just lock your kids in the basement and forget where you left the key?
Oh boy.
No.
Well, Sega has, and it feels like forever since we've last seen titles like Crazy Taxi, Jet Grind Radio, and House of the Dead Pinball.
Oh boy, I don't remember that at all.
Who the fuck remembers House of the Dead Pinball? I remember House of the Dead.
Yeah.
Not this.
Hey, everyone
Now,
likes their
take a look
obscure
at me.
picks. It's what most of
I'm
Sega
just
has.
your average, everyday kind of guy.
Hi.
Just like any other person, I spend my time thinking about how one day I'll die and then everything will go black forever.
Okay.
I also think a lot about the Dreamcast and how it was Sega's last home console, marketed as the ultimate gaming machine at the time. Sega promised to deliver on the games, graphics, online multiplayer,
Seaman.
and it even had a CD player. Now I can play my copy of Astro Lounge.
What the heck is Astro Lounge?
No clue.
Okay.
The Dreamcast only lasted 2 years and was officially discontinued in 2001. This was by far the most tragic thing to happen that year.
I just want to pause it just to make sure that this was obviously a joke. I know I shouldn't have to say that, but I've gotten so paranoid about people taking things the wrong way. Like, sorry.
Hold on, something's missing with this collage.
It's effectively a 9/11 joke.
Yeah.
There we go. Hold on.
You're making a meme already? Is that...
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, we'll let you do that. We'll keep going, okay?
After discontinuing the console,
Super
Sega
Monkey
became
Ball.
a third-party developer.
Yay.
What I find interesting is
played
Sega
Super
didn't
Monkey
sign
Ball,
any
actually, on the
exclusive
Switch.
contract with any of the big three. Rather, they were allowed to pick and choose what games to buy based on their console's player base. Some of these games remained exclusive to the console they were designed for, such as the case for Jet Set Radio Future on the original Xbox. They even ported Dreamcast games onto other consoles, more than often with additional features.
Dear God, I spent
The
so
first
much
Sonic
time with
game
the
developed
Chow
for a
Garden.
Nintendo system was Sonic Advance on the Game Boy Advance. This was a return to the 2D style of Sonic games, and a retro throwback before Nintendo did the same thing with New Super Mario Bros. And then again with New Super Mario Bros. Wii, and then again with New Super Mario Bros. 2, and then again with Nintendo even trusted Sega with the F-Zero license and gave us one of the best racing games of all time, F-Zero GX. 20 years later, things have changed. Sega is still a software developer, but it seems as if their focus has shifted. The last Crazy Taxi installment was an app in 2017, and it's delisted.
Okay. I also know a little bit about Sega with the phone market. Oh boy. Okay, so what happened was Rhythm Thief was very not popular, but it was an obscure 3DS game. So Sega decides to port it to the phone. You know, fine, it would be a good idea. Except it was a watered down port. And this was a game that was a great mixture of story, adventure, and all that. And pretty much by the time they got done watering it down, it was so gutted that... Let me pull up the review on... Let me pull up the review on how someone described it. Hold up.
This was a 3DS game?
Yeah, it was Rhythm Thief and the Emperor's Treasure, which became... let's see. What was it? Wow. I am seeing 10 out of 10s for this game. They should have ported it more. Dear God.
I think the most well-known game for the 3DS, outside the Castlevania games I loved, was The World Ends With You. That was a very odd action POG-associated game. Like you had little POG pins. You have to like tap them and scroll with the stylus and all kinds of silly actions. The DS was pretty cool. And then they had the 3DS, and then they had...
It was originally supposed to be a DS game, but they had to port it over to the 3DS. Oh, found it. David Jenkins of Metro gave The Emperor's Treasure 8 out of 10 and stated, Professor Layton may offer a more several challenge, but Rhythm Thief has more than enough charm and imagination to waltz its way into your affections. However, Roger Hargreaves of the same website gave The Paris Caper, which was the mobile port of Rhythm Thief, 5 out of 10, saying, The original 3DS game is sacrificed on the altar of microtransactions and grubby monetization. Yeah. And grubby monetization, almost erasing any sense of fun in the process. Thank you, Sega, you bunch of assholes.
Oh.
I'm still mad about Sega for doing that. I will always be mad about that.
That's the standard business model for most mobile games these days. You're free to download, and then they hook you in with the the gacha element, where you randomly draw weapons or characters, and that could cost some money, but you usually get free draws every week. So there's a whole business model. It's huge in mobile gaming. So you can't knock the business model, but if you don't like the style of how they make money, I mean, it's like, okay, you don't have to technically buy the game, or buy the currency, the in-game currency to unlock stuff. You could just take longer to do so, depending. This was a big issue with Diablo Immortal when it came out because of all the necessary...
You guys not have phones?
Bones?
The people on stage was like, do you guys not have phones when referring to the Diablo Immortal when people were kind of booing them or whatever?
Oh, that was years ago. Yeah. Okay. That was the ongoing joke when they announced stuff for mobile. Yeah. Yeah. People don't like being bled dry for sure. So, but for me, I've never spent a dime on microtransactions or spending money on freemium games, so it doesn't really bother me too much. But if the game's fun, if you want, go right ahead. There's nothing wrong with spending money on a game you like.
I think the problem with mobile games is that the Japanese are very different from what I've heard, because they like to spend money more on mobile games a lot more than Americans do.
I'm sure there's a Japanese, Chinese, Korean cultural thing we're missing.
I believe it's because they have less time of the day and they generally don't give a crap, so they're like, whatever.
I think so. There's a bunch of things, like people still love the Fate Grand Order because it's about Fate. It's been on for how many years now? And they just keep releasing more characters and different versions of the same character, which coincides with the various media that's coming out, so the movies, the series. And it's just it's a very sort of complementary thing, as we've seen with the early 2000s, with movies coming out, with the video games coming out at the same time, or roughly the same time, to capitalize on that sort of, ooh, I can do this, and now I can play a game, and now I could watch the series or download this or that. So it's part of marketing, it's part of consumption of media, and we've had that for decades. So it's not anything new. It's not anything special. And I played Fate Go for about a month and a bit before I got tired of it, because it's...
Question. What the heck is Fate Go? Like, I've heard a lot about it, and I heard people fanboy over, what was her name again? The night girl that had blonde hair and was a sword user. What was her name?
Saber?
Saber. What the heck? I've heard that Saber was supposed to be like a gender bent version of Arthur, so like...
Well, the Fate, was it Naruverse or whatever they call it, is taking heroes from ancient lore and doing their own slant on things. So in that case, yes, she was a gender bent version of King Arthur.
Oh Lord.
They do that with a few others, I think. There's so many I can't really follow them all, but they're mostly chicks. Like, they're mostly attractive women, and that makes total sense. They're appealing to their base. So with Fate Go, it's having a lineup of 3 heroes who have a randomly selected light, fierce, or some other kind of an attack, which reminded me of Valkyrie Profile, but with randomization. And that determines what kind of combination attacks you can do and whether they could charge up their own special attack. And, someone's a healer, someone's a defender. There's all kinds of different skills and combination attacks you can do. And that's how you progress through the levels and the story. And there's events you can get to unlock special units. So it's typical, standard kind of mobile gaming with characters and story and voice acting and all kinds of animation. So
I wonder if I should annoy people with my experience with a mobile game, because I do play Fire Emblem Heroes a bit.
yeah, I've played a few, and I stopped playing here and there. There's one I'm playing called Counterside, but they're not really fads. They're just sort of like, hey, do you like anime? Do you like this kind of gameplay? Well, now we got this, and there's like 4 versions of that, of like tower defense or a different genre or city building or whatever new genre they actually come up with on mobile, because you can't do everything on mobile that you can on a console. So it's different.
Oh, sorry.
It's different for everyone. There's nothing wrong with enjoying. There's some really good games out there for mobile. The problem is those mobile games are gigantic, and you have to have a really nice, up-to-date phone to run them. So it's not accessible to everyone because of hardware reasons.
I'll admit that I actually got annoyed at Fire Emblem Heroes because of that reason. And another reason would be because, okay, I am a huge fanboy of a girl from that game called Priscilla. She was like one of my favorite units of all time in the Fire Emblem series, and she's always been like a top tier unit in 7. And she was a year 1 unit in Fire Emblem Heroes, which would be good, but she's absolute garbage. And the fact is, I had to waste a lot of skills just to make her usable in any mode, and that annoys me, considering a lot of other units have like the most powerful shit ever.
Yeah, you end up going online to find tier lists of what's the strongest, best unit for that type, and you're like, how could this person in the story who's so awesome suck at, why'd they nerf them so much? And there's all these quick fixes to software every other morning because they made them too strong. This is the same problem with like League of Legends when they release a new hero and they didn't test them enough. And then as soon as like millions of people touch them, it's like, oh, this guy's too strong, so they got to nerf them. They got to nerf them. They got to keep nerfing them. So it's traditional.
I don't think it's a problem with the nerfing. It's more of Fire Emblem Heroes is a bit a different ball game, considering that there's like an 8x8 area grid or 8x6, I believe. So, units that have like the ability to move only 1 space in comparison to Cavaliers 3, that isn't going to be too bad, considering that 1 space is a lot less. And armor units were notoriously low tier because of not being able to move far enough into the battlefield for a quick game or whatever. In comparison to Priscilla being a mounted healer who was like one of the best support units in 7, like the only option for a mounted support healer.
Yep, these guys who make these games have to learn to balance people's expectations with what came before and how they release a new unit into the mobile world. And I remember playing that. I remember unlocking Byleth from 3 Houses. I thought, oh, this guy's really good. And my interest waned. Like it just sort of goes, oh, okay. You keep unlocking stuff. It goes on and on. You run out of space. You have to increase your roster barracks limit or whatever it is, and you just use the in-game currency to do so. So this is all typical stuff. And if you don't like the IP, you don't like the characters, you don't like the story, then it's going to grow old very quickly. So
I like to point out the irony of talking about a Nintendo franchise involving a video involving Sega franchises.
Yeah, it's just about popularity, and we don't really care what platform they're on. But now that Sega is primarily a developer or publisher software, then it doesn't really matter what platform anyway. So anyway, let's get back to the video.
Dead's most recent entry was only available to play at Dave & Buster's here in the United States. And Seaman has yet to get a sequel that isn't a Japan exclusive. Never in my life did I think I would miss this face so much. Shit just hasn't been the same.
I like you. You took care of me all this time, and well, I'm grateful.
So, what happened? The short answer is, Sega doesn't want to take any financial risks developing a game for a franchise that has been dormant for over 2 decades now. The long answer can be found in the year 2017. 2017 was a good year for Sega, and it was pretty good for me too. Thanks for asking. That year, Sega released Sonic Mania, Persona 5, and Sonic again. Those games performed very well for the company, but for every home console release, there was like 5 mobile games that no one asked for. Sega was one of those companies that dove headfirst into the mobile game market and embraced it for all its in-app purchases. Naturally, their physical game market took a hit since there were fewer games released that year, but even then, just those few releases managed to pull in hard-to-ignore profits. Sega then decided to refocus their efforts on financially proven IPs like Yakuza, Persona, and House of the Dead Pinball. The company's mobile game venture wasn't a total loss, far from it, because it showed they can port their entire catalog and reap the profits in the long term with the free-to-play model. The way I see it, there's no financial incentive for Sega to revive any of these IPs because most of them are relatively available on current platforms. Not all of them, mind you. Not all of them. So there you have it, they just aren't interested in making any games for their older IPs. But this can change any day, and I'm gonna tell you how I think it'll happen, right after these messages.
Okay.
You're watching Sonic X.
Oh my lord.
Fuck
Oh
for
my
kids.
lord, I love that Sonic X.
All right.
I wanted to say my annoyance about the fact that, again, the Rhythm Thief on mobile, that was the only Sega game that they screwed up so badly they had to take it off the iPhone store. That's how badly they screwed it up, and I'm still so mad about that. That they can't make they have to depend on the fans to actually make a game instead of, I don't know, instead of bothering themselves with a game like Streets of Rage 4. The fans were the ones that had to make it. Sonic
Got
Mania.
Sonic Triple Trouble 16-bit.
Yeah.
That was a good remake made by a fan.
Sonic Mania, official fan work. And somehow Sega manages to screw up fan works as well. Because, what was it? Oh, Origins. I was thinking, yeah, Origins. Anyone familiar with that?
Oh, I'm unfortunately familiar with that one.
Okay, so I've been talking a bit. You explained the situation.
I mean, all I know is they poorly optimized the damn thing on PC, by the way.
Not just poorly optimized it, they had the same problem with the first one, which was De Novo, which, as my friend described it, was kind of like spyware, I believe. Not only that, but Sega removed all Sonic 1, 2, and 3, and I believe CD from Steam, meaning you can't play those unless you play the Origins, which is notoriously the worst versions of them. So Sega's incompetence shows here even when the fans are trying to do shit.
All right. So he's still probably going to talk about mobile games. I don't know what he's showing right here, but this is supposedly an interlude, so maybe he's just having fun. Who knows?
Yeah, it's an interlude, which I did on my last video when because I'm starting to get back into making vids.
Okay. Well, let's keep going.
Now, back to Sonic X, only on 4Kids TV.
Thank fuck that's dead.
Hey, I liked 4Kids. Sorry.
What you're looking at right now is not technically a new Jet Set radio. It's actually a proof of concept designed by Dinosaur Games. This demo was made around 2017's Game Developer Conference. Sony expressed interest in bringing this IP back, but Sega ultimately decided not to pursue the project. No reason was given why, just no. What you're looking at right now is not a new Jet Set radio, but rather a spiritual successor not made by Sega. This is Bomb Rush Cyberfunk. This beautiful looking game comes to us from Team Reptile, an independent studio that had proven themselves more than capable of making a game both visually and mechanically interesting.
Holy Blaze! Oh my god, that's such a good game.
Ready? Go!
Okay.
Just like the previous game, Rolled Out is a new take inspired by one of Sega's properties. Can you take a guess and tell me which one? This physics-based game takes its inspiration from the Super Monkey Ball franchise, but just the first 2 games. The development team has said they plan to include custom level support, online multiplayer, racing, leaderboards, spectating, and much, much more. As someone who has recently gotten into the series, this makes me very excited, since Sega has long since dropped the ball. By no means is Super Monkey Ball a retired franchise. It's still very much alive. In fact, come on, let's take a look at the most recent game. Oh. This article highlights an interview that...
On the bright side, we did get Banana Blitz.
Wait. What was the game again? Super Monkey Ball, what?
Banana Blitz.
I have that, actually, and I believe that there was another one afterwards.
Oh,
Hold on.
Banana Mania, the remake of the first 2.
Let's see.
Fine, it's okay. I prefer the original.
I just wanted to double check because let's see, Banana Mania. Okay, Banana Splits. Okay, yeah, it was Banana Mania. Crap. Oh well, it did get ported to the Switch though.
Banana Mania is somewhat better. Keyword somewhat.
Oh yeah, but wait, Banana. I am so stupid. I thought Banana Blitz and Banana Mania were the same for a second. You're right, Dr. Chris, man. Sega fell on hard times, and I'm mad at him for it. I want them to improve. I'm like their older brother that wants them to improve. I want to shake them and go, "Will you get a hold of yourself?" I want to be like that with them, but...
All right.
Sorry.
Let's just keep going. We're almost done the video. It's been going by rather quickly.
Monkey Ball Banana Blitz HD did. In the interview, he explains that given the limited time and budget Sega allocated to the project, remaking Banana Blitz made the most sense. Quote, "I am aware that the most favored titles are the first 2 games. If there is enough support for Banana Blitz HD, this will open up doors for remaking the first 2 games, or even a whole new title in the series." Holding a beloved series hostage like this is no way to entice anyone to buy a remake of a game that was originally met with mixed reviews. I'm sure given the right budget and time, the team could have made something really great, like remaking the first 2 games, but it seems as if Sega didn't want that. So what do you do when a developer doesn't listen to its customers? Well, you turn to piracy. Well, you turn to games like Roll Out, Bomber Cyberfunk, and House the Dead Pinball. Both of these games are still very early in development, so we won't see them released anytime soon. But the point I want to leave you with is that the independent game scene is able to give fans what they want because more than often, they themselves are also fans. The lead designer for Rolled Out said that making this game is like fulfilling a dream he's had since he was 10 years old. The independent game scene is vital for the progression of the video game industry, because it brings in fresh and new ideas that could never exist in a corporate world. Can you imagine, in a business setting, pitching an idea for a game that mimics Fleischer-era animation, but goes that extra mile of individually drawing each frame? Of course not. To any business type, that would sound like a huge financial gamble. I know the studio responsible for Cuphead later partnered with Microsoft to finance the game's production, but the game would have never caught their attention had it not been for the fan support the game initially got. For over 5 years now, people have been spamming Skate 4 all over EA's social media accounts. And it only took a decade, but we finally got confirmation that Skate 4 is now in development. During that gap between sequels came 2 independently developed games. Session, a simulation-based skateboarding game akin to the Skate franchise. Then you have Skatebird, a more arcade-based skating game similar to the early Tony Hawk games. Although the smaller scale
Skatebird.
reminds me a lot more of Disney's Extreme Skate Adventure.
Oh my
Oh
god.
god. So cute.
To cast 10 real kids into our new skateboarding video game, Disney's Extreme Skate Adventure.
Okay.
Okay, so has anyone played any of the skate games? Because I've never, and I've heard they were pretty good though.
Really? That's good.
I've heard people fanboy about them. Like the Tony Hawk 1 and 2 collection was, well, there was obviously some love for skate games, considering the Tony Hawk 1 and 2 was like, you know, ported to the Switch, and it was like a very popular thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, people love those kinds of games. I don't know if there were like versions thereof that were comparable that took off as much. So it's a very niche genre, but people do enjoy doing the tricks and practicing and going through the levels and the obstacle courses. So yeah, it's not for everyone, but they are popular for whatever reason. Have we had any, like, not Tony Hawk games lately, but any street, like outside of skate? Like I can't think of skateboarding games that have come out in the past year.
Does the Simpsons get? Oh wait, no, that's way too long ago.
I probably could think of some if I cared enough about the games, but
Right.
they just don't interest me, so I don't keep my eye on them.
I know there's lots of Tony Hawk games, but he just mentioned Session, and one came out this year called Session Skate Sim. So there's stuff for it, or there's a genre for it. One's called Ollie Ollie World, came out this year. Skatebird came out last year. Ollie Ollie 2 came out in 2015. So yeah, there's still people who like them, and Tony Hawk is still making that money with those royalties he's getting, I'm sure. So
I remembered something about Super Monkey Ball.
Yeah, I don't know.
It might be the dumbest thing ever, but you want me to say it?
What the?
Okay, so for context, I made a video on my channel. It's ChaosJester, by the way. And on that video, I talked about me doing a poll on Reddit, which had like about 800 plus responses about, you know, which characters they would like to see in Smash. It was like a score of 1 to 10, you know, higher score, the more wanted the character was. And I had like a lot of Sega IPs on there. And there's like a Persona rep that got a few points lower than a Super Monkey Ball rep. And when I saw that, I was laughing my ass off. I was like, are you kidding me? Because Persona is a very popular franchise. Let's remember that. Like, it has the weeaboo crowd. It has like pretty much every crowd. And then Super Monkey Ball is more bewanted in Smash than a new Persona rep.
We'd have to we'd have to find those numbers where they come from.
Yeah, don't you want to crush? Don't you want to crush Mario with fucking II's Capsapod?
The video's on my channel if y'all want to take a look at it. It's hold up. Sorry. Something happened. The video's on my channel. I can post it in the comments, I guess.
I could share it with the description. That's okay. Just type it out.
Okay, just give me a second. Let me pull it up real quick.
Sure.
No, I don't want to pull an image up. Dang it. Oh, my gosh.
Well,
okay.
The YouTubers only mentioned some of the more popular franchises that are they're in a genre which is popular, so that's why they're making these games still, which is kind of like what he's the point, whereas Sega only does things that they know they're going to make money, which is fine, but that means all the classics that we love aren't getting sequels or aren't getting remakes or spiritual successors or whatever.
And the worst part is, if you're a fan of Rhythm Thief, like me, that whole cliffhanger at the end, that's never going to get resolved. Like, you know Sliders, right? You know, there's like a huge-ass cliffhanger. Every show with a cliffhanger, everyone gets mad when it gets canceled.
Right.
I'm sorry about my venting. It's just I'm still mad at Sega.
Okay, let's keep on going.
The competition these indie games pose to big developers ultimately benefits us, the consumers, because it gives them the incentive to make something worth playing. Don't think I forgot about Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5. That's right, I'm looking at you, Mr. Hawk.
Hi, I'm Tony Hawk. My new game is all about choice.
I cannot stress this next point enough. If an old series returns, it does not make any of the indie games that took inspiration from it obsolete. Rather, it's a lot more like, hey, the bar's up here now, try to keep up. If I could be genuine for a moment, and then I'll go back to bullshitting. Support independent game developers. Find projects and artists you're interested in. And if your favorite game has gone without a sequel for years, just know that there are plenty of fans out there making new content from the old.
That reminds me about okay, Cuphead was mentioned earlier in this video, so it should be fitting that there was like a game, a Kickstarter for a Cuphead inspired type game, you know. And it caught a lot of flack because apparently it was ripping off Cuphead. Like, it was catching a lot of flack and hate. And oh, is there an echo? Oh crap. But yeah, it was like catching a lot of hate because it was apparently stealing from Cuphead, and it took a lot of time before the hate died down. Because of that hate, I believe that I can't see anything from any news involving what was it? Enchanted Portals, I believe.
So
You guys there?
this came out like a year ago or two? Like, because Cuphead came out what, 3 years ago? 4 years ago?
Let's see, Enchanted Portals. The Kickstarter.
It feels like 6.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, it caught backlash like 3 years ago.
Okay. Yeah, I never heard of a clone or someone doing a game in the style of the art of Cuphead. So, don't recall.
I also apologize for the echo if I'm the cause of it.
Okay. Anyway, almost a little bit over a minute. We're almost done. I was hoping for Alpha, honestly, talking about the niche ones like Alpha Protocol and Panzer
I
Dragoon.
thought
Heard of that.
I thought that was also going to be the case too, because I took the rule of don't watch the videos and just recommend it literally.
Like, I thought you'd bring up the Shenmue Kickstarter and Skies of Arcadia or stuff like that, because those are popular things back in the day that never saw the sequels or never saw spiritual successors. So I was like, okay, maybe he'll mention it, but he never brought it up. It's kind of sad. I wanted to hear those really popular titles, like 2D Street Fighters. Where are all these amazing animated 2D Street Fighters that we never got outside of Third Strike? Everything went 3D. So
There was Virtua Fighter, I believe. There was also a few others.
Virtua Fighter? Yeah, you're right.
What else was there? There's Tekken. Well, no, Tekken's Bandai Namco. Dang it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what there else was.
All right.
There was Ghosts and Goblins, I believe. Wait, no, that's Capcom. I am so stupid today.
All right. Anyway, we've got almost a minute over to finish, and we'll see what other games he might list. It seems like he's just going to talk about the ones he already talked about, but we'll find out.
So, if you want a new Jet Set Radio, turn to Bomb Rush Cyberfunk. If you want a good Super Monkey Ball, look no further than Rolled Out. And if you want a new and super scary House of the Dead arcade game, head on down to your local Dave & Buster's. Was this all just a Dave & Buster's commercial? You're goddamn right it fucking was. Getting paid, fat stacks, big pants, suck my dick.
I'll admit that last one made me
Want
laugh.
to talk to me, just call me, okay? You've
Go
been a
back
good
to-
friend. I'll miss our time together.
Go back to the
Don't be a
forest.
total stranger now. Farewell.
Oh,
Go
God.
back to the forest, you freak. No one loves you.
That was it?
Go away.
Oh.
Yeah, you get out of here, you frog fish man.
That's depressing. I thought it was going to be a
Go
little bit.
away.
Yeah, well.
I apologize if this was a short one. That's my fault. I take full responsibility for that.
Okay.
You better.
Well, that was it. And hey, Gigaman, how's it going?
I came in for nothing.
You came in for... We just finished. Yeah, he didn't say much. He tried to be funny. That was about it. It wasn't a bad video. It was just sort of light. He focused on Super Monkey Ball, Jet Set Radio. He mentioned F-Zero, I think. That was kind of neat.
Aw.
A little bit of Sonic. That was it.
Wait, what was this? What did Rich say? Same face syndrome critics ruined art, pretty much.
Yeah, sadly, we didn't get the wonderful rundown of all the popular titles we didn't get, or the IPs that Sega still owns that they're not doing anything with. Which is weird, because I know lots of people who would love to see these games, as well as developers who made them originally, and would love to do a sequel or get a Kickstarter going, but they're busy with other projects, so sadly. Those kinds of games are hard to find.
Again, I am so sorry about the short podcast. I thought it'd be a good one.
It was okay. It was only 2 years old, but he's a good YouTuber. He does some fast cuts, but there's videos where they focus on comedy, where they focus on data. They bring a lot of references. So yeah, it's fine. It's not a bad video. Just not what I was expecting, and I was hoping for just more like references that fans of Sega would have, like, ooh, yeah, I really want to see a game like that. Why don't we get that?
I think it could be possible to talk for Sega games for about 15 more minutes, can it? Because to extend the length of it, because I don't want Gigaman to just jump in here for nothing.
It's okay. Gigaman can take a break. He doesn't have to, come into every video that he might.
Sorry.
It's up to
At least
Gigaman.
I have memes.
Do we have memes? I have no idea.
Yes.
No, we have a meme.
We have Amy.
What do you mean, a meme?
Let me load him up.
I made a meme.
Okay, so here we got. Oh, Mike Testa fixed the picture there. Thanks, Mike. That's great. Look at
Much better.
Much, yeah.
Oh, you like.
Oh boy. What else we got here?
I like the stream meme so far.
All right, get lost. Y'all got.
All right, get on. You're fired. Go on, scram. Get out of here, you moochers. That's right. Keep moving. Except you say.
I'm so mad about Sega not caring about their franchises unless their ass is covered with blue fur.
Well,
I honestly want to make a video about that, but I've always been putting it off for some reason.
let's see here. A JRPG Farm Simulator Cloud version 13. Switch.
That just got announced today in the Nintendo Direct.
What's it called?
I don't even remember what it's actually called.
Rune Factory 3.
Oh
Was
my
it?
god.
Well, that's what it was.
Well, what else? Well, there was a few others, but I heard 3, and I was thinking that.
And there's also a new game on the way.
Let's see.
There's also a state of play in 15 minutes.
Ah.
Oh, who wants that thing though?
Watch its current.
I'm so sorry about the short length. I thought this would be a longer.
Well, it depends on what we have to say, really. Not so much the length, but
It would have been longer if I was here.
Hey, man, we still
Gigaman
have
would probably
memes.
have expected me to bitch about Rhythm Thief the entire time, which I kind of did.
unless you have a lot to say about
Yeah, good riddance, by the way.
skateboarding games, or the genre as a whole, Super Monkey Ball and the genre, if you call that a genre.
Yeah, I was gonna say the most recent skateboarding game in general we've gotten is the remakes of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2.
Yeah, that's all I could really
Even
think
then.
of. Yeah, which is not much to
I
talk
do
about.
want to. I guess I can try to. I do want to say my overall critique of that video, if it's all right. I thought it was a pretty good one. It was a bit it was a decent essay on the topic. It wasn't It was a bit clickbaity, if you ask me, but I think it was a good one. He could have went over the other franchises a bit, or other stuff, like talk about the other lesser known stuff, which would have made me a lot happier. But I guess it's all right.
Well, if anyone knows any other, I guess Sega videos or Sega channels, I don't know what they're out there. I haven't really checked them out. We'd be happy to give them a gander, because I do want to get that fanboy, very eclectic sort of look at all these IPs that Sega still owns that no one's doing anything with.
I want to do the same thing, because I would fanboy over a lot of Sega IPs being mentioned.
What do we got here? This is Sonic 1 and Sonic 2. Sega, this is the
Oh, yeah,
seventh-
Ginga Man. I believe that you've heard me talk about how Sega does just as much bad to fan games as Nintendo does, right? I think you've heard me say.
No, Sega's not as bad with it.
Sega can be pretty bad with their takedowns of games.
Yeah, but how many do they take down? Next to nothing. Because why do you think?
How many do we hear about getting taken down? Because
I mean, let me ask you this: why do you think the Sonic hacking contest is a thing?
Fair enough, but how many other franchises have been taken down, like Streets of Rage remake, for God's sake?
We don't hear about it a lot from stuff from Sega's IPs. And speaking of fan remakes, I still won't forgive Nintendo for AM2R. I don't give a fuck.
I mean, Nintendo did take down NFT inspired Mario game, so that's a plus.
Well, it's yay, the law of averages.
Hey, they did a net positive, if you ask me.
It was net positive it was net positive by default because it was an NFT thing.
Every other company though was like wanting to support NFTs, I believe, or at the very least was get interested in it. Sega, I know, was getting interested in it until the Sega fans kind of bullied them off that idea.
It's not really bullying if, the idea just sucks.
Yes, Splatterhouse is Sega, Tyler. Oh my god, Rouge! Oh, Lord.
Oh, that's kind of weird.
Why they had... the introduction of Rouge in the series just had to open up a gate of hell of degeneracy.
I don't think I understand the context of this comic, but it seems like Robotnik's kind of sad.
It's probably the dumbest meme I've ever heard. It's like, don't turn me into this, and they turn me into this. It's like, no.
What is going on? Whoever this gentleman is.
Is that the
voice actor?
Oh, it's Mike Pollock. He dubbed Adon for the Berserk dub. Current Eggman voice for the US.
People have been harassing him to do that stupid...
Bum loves Pokemon and the other I don't know.
Let's see.
Right.
I believe that bottom right is from Yu-Gi-Oh!, I believe. I do know that they harassed the dude to try to do that one speech from, what was it? It was like a fan dub of a game that's like, I've come to make an announcement. They was like, please do this speech, and he was like, please stop asking me to do this. It's not good, guys.
Well, according to this either magazine or game guide, Eggman is a romanticist, a feminist, and a self-professed gentleman. And I don't know where this subtitle comes in or if someone invented this, but apparently you have big boobs is something he says.
Oh, it's in the Japanese version.
There you go. Fair enough.
Yeah,
Japanese version.
Yeah, no, that's a localization with the self-proclaimed feminist. That's just throw that out there.
Okay.
Just let's pretend that localization thing.
Sure. Fair enough. Yeah, I don't know what that has anything to do with anything, but I was like, whoa. Maybe not for kids. That would probably never happen, unless in Japan. So, yeah, guys, that was Mr. Miguel Garcia, I assume, or was this a re-upload of? No, I think this is the guy, Miguel Garcia. So, yeah. Anyway,
I'm sorry about the video being a lot shorter than usual.
No, I just wish the video was about the things I wanted to talk about, but that's fine. It's not wrong. There's nothing wrong with the video. It was trying to be funny. That's cool. So anyway, guys, thanks a lot. We're under an hour. Pretty relaxing to watch. I do like nostalgia. I do like the Dreamcast when it was out. I remember when I used to work at a game shop, I had a friend who came in. He brought his Dreamcast in, and we played Ikaruga. That was really fun. And it was a good time. Like, the Crazy Taxi is a thing, and people liked watching that on display and picking it up and just having a good time. So, sadly, a lot of these games aren't seeing the light of day, like Alpha Protocol, which I wanted to talk about, but that's okay. We can bring it up another time, and I'm sure we will whenever we talk about stories and games. So
you could bring it on Smut Talk.
Yeah,
I apologize for talking over you. I was sorry.
That's okay. We had to fill in some time, and the video was fine. It just wasn't as what we wanted, so that's great. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We will talk to you real soon. Thanks for all the memes, and have yourself a great evening. Bye-bye.